Ready?
Every time I touch, I get the feeling. Every time I touch, I feel alive. To my heart,
DDR song.
Like gonna last. Need you by my side.
Stop, hammer time. Every time you see me.
Welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 9 in podcast world 23. That's 23-9, and in real episode numbers, I don't know anymore. I've lost track. My name is Rob Nichols.
And my beat is so bad.
My beat is so bad. And every week we listen to great video game music, and we find a topic, and we listen to tracks based on that topic from all consoles, from all generations, from the past to the present. We have a good time doing it. Pernell, would you say the last time you played poppin' music was the last time the arcade was open?
Honestly, probably before that, which is funny because I technically do own poppin' music in this house. I could play it right now. It's not the same because the last time a console release happened was in like 2008,
wow.
If not sooner. And then beyond that, actually maybe a little after, maybe 2000. Let's go with 2011. But anyway, aside from that is also the fact that I like going to the arcade. I like the sounds and the sensations of being there and being a part of that crowd. But playing it at home doesn't feel as fun anymore, despite the fact that the game is definitely still fun. And lastly, I know there's like a mod community out there that has like ripped all like the latest versions of the game. You can play them on PCs, but I don't have a PC that's good enough to run it. I need to update mine, which is something I might do soon.
Ooh, I think it would work on that one that I lent you.
That's possible. Maybe I should try it there.
Yeah, I think you should try because I think it does a lot of stuff.
I mean, maybe I'll give it a shot.
Go for it.
Find maybe find an image online somewhere. Assuming it's probably going maybe Bimani ISOs or something.
Yeah, some weird nefarious means that we probably shouldn't talk about in public.
Yes.
So in the DDR world, there's a player named Chris Chaik, who is probably the best in the world at DDR, but professionally, but like he still competes in the the Konami Cup or whatever it is, the Konami All-Star event every year, and I think he won the last one, and he didn't win the last two, but like he's incredibly good. But he was also really, really good at ITG, like stupid good. Ooh. And for the past 5 days, he went back and tried to 100% every single song in that game because no one's ever 100%ed specifically one song in that game ever. And that's been out since 2007 or 2008. So,
you almost make me think he should have just started with the one that no one's ever done and then worked backwards.
I don't know. I think it was just like he had to give himself a whole lot of time. I don't know why he gave himself 5 days, but just within 5 days, he did like I can't even get close to 100% on these songs, even the easy ones. And
just to get people who aren't familiar to know, 100% is perfect rhythm. And accuracy, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. It's in DDR it's all perfect or marvelous, and in ITG it's fantastic. So it's within 12 milliseconds of each note. And he finally did it on. It's called Vertex Squared, and it is ridiculously hard. And I think there's only one other person who's done it, and it's contested that he actually did do it. So, and
it's funny with me. Like I wish I were better at those games because when I do play like Pump It Up, which, for the record, the timing in Pump It Up isn't as strict as ITG.
Only if you play in competition mode, which you could, it is stricter than DDR.
Oh, maybe I should look into that thing. 'Cause like right now, I play in like just the default game mode,
which is super loose.
It's very loose. But loose. Even being loose, like when I play it, it's either one or the other. Either I can't pass a song, or I pretty much get a perfect. Like I almost never miss a step. And I pretty much get it on perfect beat every time. It's just, if I can't do a section, it tanks me. But if I can do a section, I'm pretty much nailing it all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's either all or nothing for me.
I get that too. A part of the training, what I trained myself was to, like, if I screw up a pattern, that I don't get flustered and lose it entirely. I just try to pick back up where it left off, and that's a really hard skill to learn. 'Cause it's like reading a sentence and then suddenly the language changes, and then just trying to get right back into it.
Oh yeah, or in the case of like not even the language change, it could be like a sentence where the grammar is off.
Yeah,
so suddenly a word is improperly used, and it's like I don't know, I can't flow with this anymore. What do I do? And you always stop to try to pick up what the word was supposed to be before moving on. Sometimes rereading the entire sentence with the proper word just so it'll flow properly. Yeah. So, and I'm horrible with that. I'm like, oh crap, stop the word. Believe it or not, doing the show, I've gotten better at that. Because like, I might be reading, like, I'll read a testimonial, and it might be like, it might be like just a general type. I'm like, well, I don't want to break the flow. I got to go with this. I'm like,
I was re-listening to our last episode. It was our Patreon episode, The Sounds of Summer. If you're paying attention to our listeners, and yeah, you're so much better at reading out loud than I am. It's amazing. I always get like stuck, you know, and you put your own spin on it. You got your flow, you know.
It's fun. Like I think of it as almost like it's not voice acting, but it's the same skill that would be used in voice acting, where you're given like, here's a bunch of characters to read, and you're like, okay, I gotta get, so here's the person I gotta put for this voice, and here's I gotta put for this voice, and you're like, got it. Once upon a time, you go, wow.
I wouldn't say that what we're practicing is any kind of art, but we're practicing something. You know,
it's speaking.
We're practicing speaking. All right, let's move on. So we usually have a prequel episode that comes out for our Patreon listeners. This week is a little different because we ended up just talking about some other stuff that we didn't want to record, so that'll be some other time. And because of that, things got a little late, so now we are starting with the topic. And the topic was, I don't know how it got on our list, but it is Hammer Time.
Stop! Every time you listen to Rhythm and Pixel, you choose a cool topic and you hear it with the flow. Tracks come out over and over again. Then you listen, try to listen, go to listen, because it's on a cool.
I'm putting a beat on that, by the way.
Oh, mercy. But like, it's so, I just like,
was it just like a joke like that, or did someone bring it up?
I always, when I come up with topics, it's usually brought on by something obscure that I might have come across in the day. Or, like, for example, I don't remember why I came up with this anymore, but I couldn't be surprised if it was something even stupid like, oh crap, I gotta put this thing up on the wall here. Let me go get to do. Wait a minute, I'm holding a hammer. That's a topic.
That's a topic. I could do hammer music. You know, this past weekend we watched a movie with Daniel Radcliffe called Guns Akimbo. Have you heard of this?
I have not, but that's a topic.
It's crazy. It's a crazy action movie where he is in like a kind of a Blade Runner situation where there's like it's the current day, but like there's like a weird underground fight club on the internet where people are trying to kill each other for money.
Ooh.
And he's an internet troll, Daniel Radcliffe is, and so he's like, he hates violence, and so he's like trolling everybody on that thing, and so they come and they get him, and they actually nail and attach guns onto his hands.
That sounds.
And he wakes up.
Force him to use them.
They force him into like this kind of blood sport game, but it's super. But anyway, at the end, there's a whole sequence where this the hero in quotes is fighting the bad guy in quotes, because not everyone's great in this movie, with hammers. And it plays MC Hammer the whole time.
That's like, a weird coincidence.
I'm like, they had to go out to that guy and be like, hey, it's super violent, but still kind of funny, but a whole lot of blood. Can we use your song?
That also makes me think, is it just me, or is outside of Harry Potter, is Daniel Radcliffe's entire like film and Broadway repertoire like this wild and crazy stuff?
It is. We started after that we started looking him up again, like everything that he's done, and he's done some really interesting stuff. I feel like he came out of this child acting gig to rise above being this one character, and he just chooses all of these weird, interesting roles, and he just must seem like a cool guy who just is like, this sounds like fun, let's just do that, you know, and just does it. He does a whole movie where he plays a corpse.
See, I could see that being really entertaining. It's like Weekend at Bernie's, but from the perspective of Bernie.
No, I haven't watched it. Christy watched it while I was away. It's called Swiss Army Man, and there's a guy who's stranded on an island, and the corpse of Daniel Radcliffe, who's somebody else, rolls up, and then the guy's going crazy with hunger and hallucinates that he's talking to him and becomes best friends with this dead person who just farts.
Wow! And
he doesn't talk, all he does is fart. Because he's full of gases.
Of methane gas.
And it's supposedly like, it's really like sad and heartwarming at the same time, but it's just a crazy guy dying on an island talking to a corpse.
Who's Daniel Radcliffe?
Who's Daniel Radcliffe? Yeah, and we're rewatching Miracle Workers, which was on I think it was on TNT, and that's amazing. It's got Steve Buscemi in it. It's so funny. And you would like that too. That's another weird like afterlife weird fantasy type thing. It's so weird.
That's been my thing. I'm a big fan. I've become a huge fan of shows that get into like philosophical concepts of things that we may not necessarily understand, but we have general concepts of.
Yeah, you watched all of Upload like immediately.
One weekend. It took me 2 sittings.
Isn't that good? I was like, I knew it. I knew as soon as you started watching that, you'd just be done. It's
for those who don't know, without spoiling it, the concept of Upload is a world where people develop the technology to upload your consciousness onto a server. And the server houses a variety of different afterlives. And these afterlives are like MMOs, essentially.
Yeah, but
you dwell there forever, and they're owned by corporations. So before you die, you opt to get uploaded, and then you go, and your digital consciousness lives on this server.
Yeah.
And the show involves a person who goes there, and then the people who work for the company that runs the server where his afterlife is housed.
Yeah, and it
sounds
about
bizarre, but it
how
works.
much it costs to be there, the cost of like the data center, so the family has to have money, and if you don't have the money, then you're just like in limbo. And like, what does that say about morality if not everybody has the right to live there? You know.
But here's the beauty of it, though.
Wild. So
like
good.
Hearing it as we're describing it, if you're not into like that kind of thing, I can see you going, "Oh, geez, this is heavy." Or, oh man, I don't want to think about that.
Parts of it are heavy. It is funny.
Oh no, it definitely is. There's definitely heft in it.
Yeah.
But it's a comedy. It's a comedy drama with this element, and I think comedy is the best way to portray these premises. Because while you might say some people might claim it to be a disservice to the subject matter, I say it makes it easier to digest and bring in. Like you can laugh and then you can think.
Yeah, because like Black Mirror, as much as I do love that, and it's very, very good, I have to be like ready for it, you know? Like I have to be prepared. But if it's going to be wrapped up in a comedy and a drama, then I can do that.
Sign me up. Like imagine some of those plot lines from Black Mirror being done with a humorous spin. And
it could be done. Most of them. No, not most of them. A couple of them. Well, yeah. One.
I think honestly, it's all about the writer. I think they all could be. The question is, how well would it land? But they all could be written in a comedy sense. The question is, would it work? Would it work for the viewer?
All right, so let's get back to this. Hammer time. This is an odd episode, so we're starting with you, and I'm curious as to what tracks. I'm sure there's some tracks that sparked off the idea for Hammer time. Am I right?
No, actually, no. This all sparked. In fact, one of them, which I'll get to later. Well, I'll talk about it when I get there. But this first one is actually, you know what? This was the first track that came to mind when I thought of the topic, just because I liked the game and I was playing it back then. But I'm not playing it anymore, and that game is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Really now?
I gave that bad boy up, though I still have my heart's hanging on to it, so I haven't sold it. But I should have sold it when I had the chance, because it's worth like $30 on the market. And I don't know. But the track title is called 10 a.m., and it was composed by Kazumi Totaka. Welcome back. You're listening to 10 a.m. from the game Animal Crossing New Horizons on the Nintendo Switch, composed by Kazumi Totaka. I don't particularly believe it plays at 10 a.m. because I hear it more often than at 10 a.m. But that's what it's called. I'm sticking to it.
I love this track. It sounds so funky. It's soulful. It's got so much soul, but like a really specific like groove, you know?
It's music you can do chores to, which is funny because that's what you're doing in the game too. Chores. Lots of chores. But that music is a good way to kind of keep you moving and flowing to it. But why does it actually fit this topic? Well,
yeah, tell me now. Tell me how does doing chores in Animal Crossing?
Well,
why don't you start right now? Right now.
You only gotta do it. Hurry. In Animal Crossing New Horizons, they decided to add a new mechanic to the game. That mechanic being DIY construction. So you can build a build-it-yourself tool bench, and then you can get to the desk, and you can construct things. What things? A lot of things. And you do so by getting down to business, because every time you pick the ingredients and stuff, and you choose what you want to build, you have this little animation where you're hammering, and you're sawing, and you're getting down to business, and then you build the product. Which is kind of funny in its own right, because when the game first got announced, and it's like, now we have DIY, you can build things. And I was like, that sounds pretty cool, you can build stuff. But then it clicked for me after I had the game, which is that it just extends the game. Because now you have to get materials to create the stuff that you just used to buy at the store.
Right.
So it just makes everything take longer. Now your tools break, so now you have to get the parts to build them again. Instead of just getting a new tool, you gotta build the tool. It's so weird, but it works for people because Animal Crossing has pulled some of the largest Switch game clocks I have ever seen from people who otherwise won't play games. And while I have heard people say, "Oh, it's only like this because the fact that I was on lockdown, so I had nothing else to do but play Animal Crossing." I'm like, I beg to differ. I feel like if you weren't locked down, you would just be squeezing it in wherever you could, and the time would just happen later. But ultimately, you were going to put this much time in Animal Crossing because it had you, but with its hooks. It hooked you.
Right.
And it hooked me too. Like, if I look at my Switch and order it based on number of hours played, Animal Crossing is my second most played game on the system behind Pokemon Sword. Mm-hmm. And as a person who sits here and tells you, oh god, Animal Crossing is just a game where you just do chores for hours. Mm-hmm. I'm not coming from a place of hate. Again, second most played game on the console. I own like 500 games. It's the second most played.
It's just, I feel like you did what you were set out to do. And you're like, okay, that's great.
It's great. And what happened was, I came this close to selling it towards Last of Us 2 because GameStop was running a promo where I get bonus credit for it, which would have put me at like 60 or 65% of the total value back for the game. Considering I owned it for like 2-3 months, that's a pretty decent return on my product. But I couldn't part with it. I had trouble letting it go, despite the fact that I don't know if I'm ever going to play it again. Because now, the issue with Animal Crossing is that it's built around the idea that you go in every day, say hi to your neighbors, you gotta remove weeds from the ground, shake down your trees, all this stuff. But when you're gone for a period of time, weeds grow, your town becomes disheveled, roaches show up, your townsfolk get angry at you for being gone for too long. They literally say, where were you? We've been missing you.
Do you ever feel like we created the Tamagotchi and then, like, as a people, we created the Tamagotchi and then we never got past that? You know, like we just never got over the idea that we wanted to care for something digital.
Oh,
living.
It's funny you say that because I am also I guess we're recording now. On Tuesday, the day before this episode comes out, I'm actually reviewing a game that is literally that. It's a dungeon crawling RPG, a dungeon crawling roguelike RPG. But the hook is that you are in a post-apocalyptic environment, which in this present day might be tougher to stomach, but the hook on this game is that you are a robot who comes across like the last human, who's also afflicted by the illness that took out humanity. So you are trying to raise this human and keep them safe in a toxic environment. How do you do that? You build a terrarium and you house the human in it. And how do you track the human's statistics in the current situation? You come across a Tamagotchi. I am not even making that up. They call it a pet nanny, but it's literally a Tamagotchi, which you then repurpose to function, but to track the human. So you remember when you would play Tamagotchi and it had the little bit divots in the upper left corner, like,
Yeah.
this is how hungry it is.
Mm-hmm,
This is, oh crap, it pooped. There's little poop turds all over the thing on the screen. It does all of it. It is literally a Tamagotchi in the lower left corner of the screen that tracks the human's progress. It's ridiculous, but it works. It really works. People like the idea of raising digital things. I don't understand this. Humans are weird. And you might say, might be someone who's like, I'm not big on kids and stuff like that, or pets, whatever. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Digital raising sims transcend all of that. People like to raise digital things. Pokemon, animals, people, Nintendo.
But I mean, like, don't you think it's like goes a little deeper than that? Where it's like people they want to have something more to care for, and so we create it.
Yeah, I genuinely think that's what it is. It works.
So I want to continue to talk about something a little existential, because we can't have an episode about hammers without talking about one specific game, and it is called Getting Over It.
That is not Whack-A-Mole.
With Bennett Foddy. Do you know Getting Over It?
No, but it sounds like I'm going to have to ask you about when we come back.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
So this is the main theme. It plays throughout the game. There's a few other tracks that plays throughout the game. And all we know is that it's composed by the group E's Jammy Jams, which I believe is like a production house that produces maybe just series of music that is license free for other games and other projects.
Oh, kind of like that company that did the music for Lords of Thunder or a lot of those old TurboGrafx games.
Maybe. It was really hard.
Tease music.
It's like Tease, yeah. But this is E's Jammy Jams. I couldn't exactly find who's involved with that. Maybe someone can help with that. But this track is called Soul and Mind. And I'm picking this one first because it kind of goes along with this Animal Crossing track pretty well. So it's pretty jazzy. All right, here we go. There's Soul and Mind from Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. That was Soul and Mind from E's Jammy Jams from the game Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. You can find that on PC. So Pernell, Bennett Foddy was the creator of the game QWOP, and he is a game designer who is obsessed with difficult games.
And QWOP is probably the king of that.
Is the king of it. It's just funny, but like eventually you start to get kind of obsessed of like doing well. So Getting Over It is kind of a play on words, right? So you are a man inside of a cauldron.
Wait. I'm a man.
You are you, and I'm me.
wait. I'm me?
Yeah. So you don't have legs. You're just your upper torso is sitting out of the cauldron, and you have a giant hammer on a stick. And all you can do is swing it around and hope to propel yourself forward up over this mountain. So you're trying to get...
Feels like the hammer throw, but you're throwing yourself.
Yeah, it's like you're grappling onto it, and then in an arc, and then sort of like pulling yourself around. But the physics are unforgiving. The obstacles are constantly in the way. One slight move will throw you back, and you will lose hours of progress. There's no checkpoints. There's no saved games. Anytime you make significant loss of progress, Bennett Foddy actually has a voiceover and tells you just quotes about that you should give up, about how life is meaningless, about how it's okay to stop. So it's all about getting over that feeling and trying to get to the end. And he writes on his website, Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, I created this game for a certain kind of person to hurt them, period.
Jeez. Between that and QWOP, it's like,
yeah,
those games are free, I hope, because I wouldn't pay. I know, I forgot. I did look it up during the song. That's $5. I'm not paying $5 for that.
Yeah, this game's on Steam. It's $5, but QWOP and other stuff is like the free, like old school Flash games. They've all been translated to HTML5, but not this one. This one really caused quite a stir about 3 years ago because it's enraging. But I think that, and I think you share some of this ethos in gaming, that you like the challenge because overcoming that challenge makes it all worth it.
That is very true. Though I will say this as an addendum to that statement. If the game itself is not fun, despite the challenge beating you down, it still feels like a waste of time. And I haven't played this, so I don't know if it's
you would find it a waste of time. You would
not.
Absolutely find it a waste of time.
Yeah, that's the killer. Because like, I've played a lot of games that are just like brutal. Like, what's that game? Like, basically a lot of the Massacre games are usually platformer based, which is already something I like.
Yeah,
but they're also brutally difficult.
I want to be the guy, that kind of stuff. But this is like, it's for that special kind of player who only believes in challenge for the sake of having a challenge. And I don't know, there's something to that. Like I'm with it, and I'm also not with it at the same time. I need to have a really clean, like, game loop that feels kind of like progression, but still feels good. Like, I could play Enter the Gungeon for hours, not make any progress, but like it's still giving me something different every time I play it. This game is not. This game is just you spent
it's like you spent nothing.
4 hours. You made it very, very far. Maybe you're even close to the end. You make one false move, and you're nearly back at the beginning.
But that's why a lot of like present day roguelikes, which Enter the Gungeon is one such game. Why a lot of those games work, because what they do is they give you the same general sense of, I played for 40 minutes, got to the bottom and failed. Now I got to start all over again.
But the loop is doing that.
Well, it's not just the loop; it's what they do with the loop. So when you play Gungeon, you run through. You might find those little, like, those weird chits, like those green chits that you can take back to the hub to buy new things that can show up in the actual dungeons proper. You might find a guy that you can then unlock a utility in the main hub. There's always something small that you can bring back that makes you feel like you progressed even a little. Despite the fact that for the game proper, you still have to go back to the start. But it's not quite the start. Like the game I was describing earlier. It's a roguelike, but the thing that changes it and makes it a little bit better there is whenever you leave or die, you go back to the main hub, but as you're constructing furniture for the girl or something like that, every time you build something, you get a small stat bump to your guy. Or you can create things that make change the potential or change the probability of stuff appearing in the dungeon. So ultimately,
Yeah.
you're doing things that can affect the game, and you can only do those things
Right.
by failing over and over
That's
again.
the game loop. It's saying that starting over from the beginning is what it makes it feel like progress still. And this game strips all that away and says, no. There is no loop.
You fail.
It just, you hit start and it just runs until you decide to stop. You know, apparently I just read on Wiki, there is an ending to it. And then it asks you at the very end if you're streaming it. And if you say you're not, it actually takes you to a chat room, a live chat room with other people that have completed the game. Like a private space where other people that have finished it.
There's like 2 people in there.
So you can
right
like
now.
share it. Yeah, right. There's like no one there. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. I got to learn more about this game. And I really like the chill, smooth jazz. It felt right, you know?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So what's your next track?
Well, here's a track that's a lot more light and comes from a game where the loop is so good.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. Like the exact opposite of getting over it.
I'm sure. There's a lot. Yeah.
This is Job Tune 5 from the game Fantasy Life for the Nintendo DS and is composed by Nobuo Uematsu.
Crazy.
I love this track. Welcome back. You're listening to Job Tune 5 from the game Fantasy Life on the Nintendo DS, composed by Nobuo. Actually, I'll take that back. It might be the Nintendo. That's 3DS, actually. I'm sorry. Composed by Nobuo Uematsu. Fantasy Life is a game that consumed my life, for a very interesting period of time. I was obsessed with making mad dosh, as the currency in the game is called, across a variety of jobs. The way this game works is you play in a fantasy world designed by Level 5, and I don't remember the specifics of why you do this, but you take on a variety of different professions, like actual job professions. And you take on quests within the game's world to become the best at that profession. And there's like 15 different jobs in the game. They're all, for the most of them are normal jobs, but some of them are like actual like RPG jobs, like wizard or fighter and stuff. But there's also chef, tailor, blacksmith, fisherman, not farmer, but chemist. Yeah, there's a chemist, like a bunch of different jobs. And as you play the game, in addition to like normal questing stuff, like you fight enemies and you use a special attack and all that stuff, you also have to perform the actual job for the class that you're in. And they all kind of run around the same mini game concept where you're at a table and there's like 3 different stations you have to man. And each station requires a different type of button press style. So it might be rotating the stick, or mashing the button quickly, or keeping a dial within a certain range, or something like that. And you have to go through this for a certain period of time until you're done building the thing you're trying to make. And of course, depending on how well you do, in terms of the quality of the product, and you're trying to make stuff for both equipping for yourself, giving to friends so they can use it, and then selling it for profit, or giving it to customers in the game.
Why is all the music
quests.
you're playing, all this music you're playing are from games that just sound like work?
And that's the funny thing about this game. This, unlike Animal Crossing, for me anyway, felt engaging. Like, it did the thing that I wish Animal Crossing did, in that whenever you made stuff, it led towards something else. So, if I'm a tailor, I can construct backpack. When I make the backpack, it increases my storage space. Hence, I want to build it to use it. Not to just throw it on the floor and say, I built that thing. What's next? Well, I admit there are certain things you will build because, it's part of your catalog, and you'll be like, nah, I have a better sword than this. I'm not going to build this. Blacksmith is one of my favorite jobs. The blacksmith and the tailor and the chef were my favorite jobs in the game. You'll build stuff that you don't need because you probably have something better at that point, but you still want to fill up your catalog so you can class up your character. You can get to the max level class. So you'll still do the job despite not using the product, but it's fun. Especially when the right job tunes can, because there's like relaxing job tunes where it's just like, tra-la-la-la-la, you're welding good stuff. And then you got this where it's like, holy crap, you're going to spill the food all over the floor.
This reminded me of something, and I remember what it is now. It's called the Infernal Gallop, and the composer's name is Jacques Offenbach.
Ooh.
And it is the Can song. Dun, 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 dun,
Dun, dun.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. I can hear some of that, yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, that's all I can hear in this damn thing. Just makes me want to get up and move.
And that's what it is, because since the game has you moving back and forth trying to beat the clock to build this product, you're moving. And you're like, come on, hit the A button, mash, 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 mash. Get it done. It gets you. But it's such a fun game. Like, I maxed out like 3 of the jobs.
Oh, really?
You can technically get obsessed and max out every job, but what I did took over 100 hours. I was done.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was that good. And for a while, I used to play it multiplayer with a couple friends, and then they all tapered off, but I kept going.
Okay. Here's a game, right, that is so on the nose. I don't know if you know about it, but it reminds me a lot of Ganbare Goemon.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Hammerin Harry. You know Hammerin Harry?
I do, actually.
That was a really ugly NES cover.
Yeah, Hammerin Hit. I want to say, look it up when you play the track, but I want to say Hammerin Hero is a sequel to Hammerin Harry.
So there's a bunch of them in Japan. There's a short series of these games. They're so weird. It's a platformer. You have a giant hammer.
Yep.
You're a construction worker.
You're a DJ. You're a diver.
Yeah, all sorts of weird things. But in this is the Game Boy version. It's called Hammerin Harry, the Ghost Building Company, where Hammerin Harry's friend or girlfriend or some other character is kidnapped by ghosts who are also construction workers.
Okay.
Ghosts. But let me tell you, I listened to a lot of the Hammerin Harry like arcade music and the NES music, and it's good. The Game Boy music is incredible. Like, I have not heard good Game Boy music like this in a while, like classic Game Boy music. So this is all composed by Ikko Mimori, and this is track number 1 from Hammerin Harry, the Ghost Building Company.
Good.
I was really surprised when I found this. You're listening to track number 1 from the game Hammerin Harry Ghost Building Company. This is composed by Ikko Mimori for the Game Boy. And
holy cow! I just learned something about this.
What's up?
So apparently, this was made by the same company that made Ninja Baseball Batman. And
that makes sense.
There's actually cameo posters of Hammerin Harry in that game.
Yeah, they're both from the developed by the company IREM, IREM. It's very weird. It's very Japanese. It takes place in kind of like a weird fantasy type world that is Japan.
It's like a small Japanese town.
Yeah.
But with weird ghosts
like and bad guys, and you hit them with a giant hammer, and you can collect bigger hammers, and you use the hammer to like swing against like balls on chains and stuff to like kind of move things around. It looks like there's part puzzle platforming to this. It's really interesting. The arcade version anyway. The NES version, they really scaled back the graphics and made it just sort of like a really basic platformer. Not a whole lot of the extra stuff the arcade had. The Game Boy version is still scaled back, but the graphics look incredible. Like they're so much better than the NES. It looks closer to the realized art of the arcade version. So that's really cool. And this music is excellent. Like it really takes advantage of the stereo, of those little sound effects they're using as percussion that's going left and right. It's really interesting. So yeah, I wanted to share that because it's Hammerin Harry. He's running around with a giant hammer, you know.
He's a carpenter, but he can be so much more.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna have hammer time, Hammerin Harry is the hammer time.
He's literal hammer time.
He's right there with you.
And I think I mentioned it earlier, but if you're asking the type A, like I want to experience what the heck this is, Atlas did release the final game in the franchise in America for the PSP. It's called HammerInHero.
Oh.
If you can find it, it's available and you can play it
on the PSP.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting that they wanted to revive this old character.
It's like there's 8 games.
Surprised he's not in Smash Brothers.
Oh, there's too many characters that should be in Smash Brothers. Yen is probably at the back of that list.
I would love to see
Harry.
Goemon. Goemon would be good. Could be good.
No, I would be happy to see Goemon make the cut. Goemon, even better if you could switch between him and Ibisu Maru.
We can have a whole episode of that, of characters we would like in a fighting game or a Smash
Brothers. There you go. Write it down. There he is. Write it down. Characters that should be in Smash.
I'm writing it down. It's going in the list.
Despite the fact that Smash has like 100 characters now, these are characters that still should be in Smash Bros.
It's similar to another topic I have on the list that says games we would like to see come back.
Honestly, I feel like those are some of the more fun. Those are a lot of the fun titles. Like,
Hammerin Harry is already up there, so I think we got that covered.
Bam! I'm up!
All right, what's your next track?
So this one is a surprising find, but I'll get to the dialogue behind it in a second. But to introduce it itself, the game itself is called Weapon Shop de Omasse. And the track title is Captain Malibu's theme. And it's composed by Yoichiro Kame. Welcome back. You're listening to Captain Malibu's theme from the game Weapon Shop de Omasse. Come for the Nintendo 3DS, composed by Yoichiro Kame. Fun fact about this game, actually, is the fact that I bought it when it originally came out in 2014, and then forgot I owned it, and then was going to choose tracks for the episode, and was like, oh, here's a game that involves being a blacksmith. Wait a minute, it looks strangely familiar, and I went to my 3DS and started going through. I was like, oh, I own it. I should play it. So I booted it up for the first time in 2020, despite owning it since 2014.
And how is it?
Story of my life with video games. But it's actually still kind of enjoyable. I had fun time playing it. And it's very different from what games usually are for me. Like,
we're actually forging weapons.
Yes, you are playing the role of a blacksmith who runs a shop, or rather the shop owner of a smithery. and you are working under the tutelage of the blacksmith that's supposed to be making the weapons in the shop, but in the end, you end up making them. So what happens is the time kind of progresses. In like real time, though there's no actual clock on the... Actually, there's a clock, there's like a day and night cycle in the upper right corner, but for the most part, time is progressing, and people are coming into their shop, both NPC characters and actual, like, hero characters, like that would be in an RPG. And they're all coming into your shop to buy weapons to go on adventures, with the ultimate goal being that one of them is going to eventually have to fight the evil lord when he's resurrected and defeat him. But how do they do it? By having great merchandise sold to them by a great blacksmith. And you have to actually craft the weapons, or infuse the weapons with elemental properties, and then give them weapons befitting their stats and preferences. So you might come across like a little, like a tiny like girl who like is good with karate, but she needs a bladed weapon, so you give her a sai because she's better able to handle that. But you could give her a sword, which is also good for slash damage, but in the end, she won't be able to wield it properly. She'll go on an adventure and she'll die, or she'll lose. I don't think they technically die; they just lose, and then they come back. Or actually, no, I think the NPCs definitely die.
Okay.
And if that happens, you don't get your weapon back because they're only renting the weapons from you. If they go on the adventure and they succeed,
they're all rentals.
They're renting your weapons. And if they go on an adventure, they bring the weapon back. They pay you for the weapon, and then you can re-lend it out to another customer. But then you have to polish the weapon to get it back up to snuff, so it's actually effective again.
It reminds me a lot of that one board game that I like a lot that you own. It's Hero...
The funny part is, like, I have like 3 games now that involve like smithing weapons, including one we've never played called Mana Forge, which I really want to bust up.
No, it's not one where you smith weapons, but it's one where you're in a shop and you're selling weapons to...
Oh, Bargain Quest.
Bargain Quest, yeah, and because we played that one at Bargain. I love that game, but it reminds me of that, awesome. Where it's like you're not concerned about how well the players are going to do, or how well the characters are going to do fighting the monster. All you care about is selling as much crap as you can.
Well, the funny thing is, like, kind of like Bargain Quest, this game has that element, but it's more so you want to care because Bargain Quest, well, with this game, you want them to succeed because you want to get your stuff back so you don't have to spend the money to recraft new gear, and you can lend it out to new customers that come in, because eventually you get an overflow of customers, you got to control the flow. With Bargain Quest, though, it totally varies on the customer. Like, there's that one customer who's like the aristocrat who's like totally flush with money.
Yeah.
But he has terrible stats, so he's likely going to fail.
Yeah, he has no reason going out there fighting a monster, but he's got tons of money, so you're like, yes.
So basically you're like, sell him as much as you can on his first visit because you know he's going to die when he goes out into the field. But there's other characters that they might give you more benefits if they come back. Like, it's worth getting them out there so he can come back and spend more money. So those are the ones like, okay, I gotta give him good gear so he comes back to me.
Or it's that classic thing in like some games where like you're winning, you know that you're winning, and so you're trying to force the end game condition. So you're trying to help the characters beat the monsters.
Oh,
so you can get to the end faster because you know that you're already ahead.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good strategy. I miss board games so bad.
Me too. Honestly, I guess I'm getting to that point where I might try. Like, I think I might try to go see Mark this week even. Like, look, I'll mask up if you want, whatever, but I need to play something before I lose my crap. Yeah,
I've been thinking about that too, but we just haven't had a lot of energy recently. It's also been too hot, because if we're going to do it, it's probably going to be outside, so it needs to be a cooler time.
I agree. Freaking sauna days.
All right, so I'm gonna go into it. My final track is from the game Soul Calibur, and this is another character that wields a massive hammer. This is the theme of Astaroth and Lizardman.
And Lizardman.
But definitely Astaroth is the guy that we're talking about. This is called Bred from the Gap. You're back. You're listening to Bred from the Gap from the game Soul Calibur. This is the theme of Astaroth.
And Lizardman.
And Lizardman.
That's the name of the show. You can't just, cut it short. Astaroth and Lizardman.
So they share a stage. Astaroth he has a roommate, is what it is. It's composed by Yoshihito Yano. You can find this in the arcade, and it was on the Sega Dreamcast. I think it was also on the PlayStation 2. I don't know. When Soul Calibur first came out, I was always a 2D fighter guy, but I got into this game pretty hardcore just because the competitive nature of this game was really interesting to me. And I felt like 3D games up to this point they didn't feel fair. They were just kind of random. But to me, anyway, that's how it felt. But this game, it felt like the strategy involved was so interesting, and all the characters and all the different fighting styles was so cool.
Yeah, I just used Sopatia and Jump Slash the whole time. I hope I got lucky.
So Astaroth was really popular because he was one of those really big, heavy-hitting characters, so he was kind of easy to play. Was
he the boss of the first one?
I think so, yeah. So there's a cult in the game, or in the lore of the game, and they create a golem of Astaroth to go out and locate the Soul Edge, the fabled weapon that gives them ultimate power, or whatever fighting game stories go. But they keep bringing him back, and eventually I think he gains sentience, and he wants the blade to consume it so that he can be all powerful. But
he just wants to eat a sword.
He wants to eat the sword, yeah. I don't remember Lizardman, though. I don't remember Lizardman at all. But Astaroth has definitely carried through the series from iteration to iteration. Just because he's just terrifying. He's huge. One half of this giant thing is a hammer. The other half is a giant axe. He is cool. He is really, really cool. And the music, you can tell that those strings are synthesized. But it works really well.
Hammerin hero, he is not.
He is not the Hammerin hero, no. We need Hammerin Harry should have been fighting Astaroth. Or maybe Astaroth, Hammerin Harry dies, right?
He could have been the Soul Calibur 2 PlayStation representative. They missed the boat!
They missed it out. And then, so Hammerin Harry dies, and a cult who is craving the Soul Edge revive Hammerin Harry to be their golem as Astaroth.
Aster Harry.
That's how.
Harry Roth.
Yeah.
But then he just decides he wants to go back to just smashing and doing construction work, so he just kind of gives the whole thing screw this.
The Astaroth IRA.
Soul Edge doesn't pay the bills. I gotta get back to work. He just abandons the entire mission. So then they kidnap his girlfriend, and then he has to go do it anyway.
No, so we gotta give honorable mention to a classic game that's not a classic game, but it's made to look like a classic game, and that is Fix It Felix.
Oh yeah, from friggin' Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. When I looked up Hammerin Harry, I was like, oh, that's right. Fix It Felix had a hammer and ran around. But
I don't think they ever made an official Fix It Felix game, did they? It probably was a promo flash game.
Yeah, if they did, it was something real small like that. I think they did one for the little Candy Rush, whatever, Sugar Rush racing game, kart racer.
Which is funny because that game is literally Mario Kart.
It is. It is absolutely just Mario Kart in the arcade.
Well, I guess that's when you think about Fix It Felix is also partly it's like a combination of Crazy Climber and Donkey Kong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still play it though.
Definitely Donkey Kong. Definitely Donkey Kong. All right, so I'm going to turn this terrifying track down, and we're going to get into the bonus round.
Bonus round!
And the bonus round is where we play covers and remixes and arrangements on our theme. Pernell, what did you find that fits our theme?
Well, speaking of Donkey Kong, of course I had to pick the Hammer theme from the literal OG Hammer theme. Is the Hammer theme from Donkey Kong.
Really?
Or Jumpman, as it were. So, what is this track? It is the 8-bit upgrade to the Hammer theme from the game Donkey Kong. Composed by, remixed and arranged by Zero.
Okay.
With an X, because that's how the cool kids do it.
Oh, yeah, that was my old DJ name.
That's right.
That is my handle for my old DDR name, too. I ran into that recently. Where did I see that? Oh, I saw some old scores and I had my my tag on it. I was like, oh wow, that's right. Forgot about that.
I love that track. It loops, but it doesn't matter. It loops in a way that rules.
It's really good. I really like that.
I loved it. And again, it's the 8-bit upgrade to the hammer theme from Donkey Kong, arranged by Zero. And for those who are familiar 100%, well, you should be now because you heard it at the beginning of the track. But the hammer theme is a very, very fast and very
short,
minimal loop. And this guy took that loop and turned it into 2 minutes of excellence. I loved it. I've listened to it multiple times since I found it, and hopefully you liked it too.
So the artist's name, the arranger, is EdmanXERO or EdmanXERO.
Edman.
And mainly a lot of YouTube and Twitch playing Tekken. And some rap, doing some lyrics of his own. So
my name is Donkey Kong, and I got a hand.
But I mean, clearly he's got to get back on Famitracker. He hasn't really posted anything for Famitracker like this in about 8 or 9 years. So maybe he was just sort of dabbling in it. But I liked this. I really enjoyed this.
If this is dabbling, holy pickles!
Yeah. All right, so going back to characters with giant hammers, we got to talk about Amy Rose from Sonic Adventure.
Fire.
That's right. We're playing My Sweet Passion, the theme of Amy Rose from Sonic Adventure for the Sega Dreamcast. This is by Nikki Gregoroff.
Show someplace I wanted to go.
And we're back. That was My Sweet Passion, the theme of Amy Rose from Sonic Adventure for the Sega Dreamcast, and that was by Nikki Gregoroff.
I actually never knew the name of that track. I only knew fire, fire. That's all I know.
That's the first thing that pops in like in the game while you're playing it. But man, the music of Sonic Adventure is just so over the top. So it's a little much, but I love the bass on this track. It's just so funky. It's really hard finding remixes and other maybe anything else related to the theme of Amy Rose online, because you're always going to end up with Sonic fan fiction.
Yep.
Or music videos of like Kiss from a Rose by Seal, but with like
Sonic and Amy.
but like edited with Sonic and Amy and maybe Shadow Hedgehog. Like it's just, that's also a little much, you know?
They make you work for it.
I respect that. That's what they're into, but that's not what I'm looking for. And there's so much of it out there that it's just destroyed the Sonic SEO. That's all I could get. And so, yeah.
Mission accomplished for them, though, because that was the goal.
Maybe that was a goal for them, right? But for more information on the Sonic part of our show, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We have links to the artists' Bandcamps and SoundClouds and everywhere where you can buy the music and support these artists. All right, thanks for joining us on episode 23-9 of Rhythm and Pixels. Hammer time. Time.
Stop.
We got Sledgehammers with Peter Gabriel. We have Ball Peen Hammers. I think it's Ball Peen Hammers. I'm gonna look that up. That doesn't sound right.
I know Sledgehammers, Hammers, MC Hammer.
Yeah, the MC Hammers. Yeah, Ball Peen Hammer. Yeah, okay,
Pickaxe
cool.
Hammers.
Mallets.
Cudgels.
That's my favorite one so far.
Yeah, cudgels.
Yeah, so if you could just like send us your favorite types of hammers, we will absolutely play them on the show.
The pickaxe hammer, that's my favorite.
Yeah, that's kind of like what was in Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, so the giant pickaxe hammer. But a special honorable mention goes to the rock climbing hammers of the Ice Climbers.
Yes. They were lost in the annals of time until Smash Brothers resurrected them.
Yeah.
They only ever had the one game on NES, and all of a sudden, Nana and Popo are back, and people were using them like wildfire.
People love Nana and Popo, which is, I know.
Jesus, it's the Popo.
Didn't think people liked the Popo
and
anymore.
Nana.
Yeah, right.
And Nana.
And Nana. It's like Grandma's police.
Gripes.
It's the granny police. But
you
yeah,
were good boy, so here's some cookies.
But yeah, this is a pretty crazy topic. We're going to have some more. I think this whole month is going to be some wacky topics. Yeah, I think we're just going to do only wacky topics for this.
They're the most fun as long as we can come up with more of them. They make you think outside the box.
There are some guests that we're going to have soon as well. Some ones that we've been talking to that I think we have to get back in touch with, and some other ones that have been suggested in our Facebook group, Rhythm and Pixels Chat, that we need to reach out to and kind of coordinate that. So
hopefully they're down.
Yeah, maybe now's a great time for it. Maybe now's not a great time for it. I don't know. But,
we'll find out.
But we'll find out. But a little hint is a certain someone posted karaoke in the wrong group on Facebook, and we all got a little flavor of it, and it was pretty rad. So it made me feel nostalgic for some more. So we might get back to that. But if you have any suggestions for the show, any topics, music tracks, you just want to say hello, we'd love to hear it. Send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And if you'd like to know more about our show, if you have to get a full track listing from all the episodes, all the information on the episodes, and just links to other stuff that we're doing, and if I can get off my butt and actually update the website, merchandise as well. There's t-shirts and masks and all sorts of stuff with logos of the show and some other fun stuff. All that stuff is at our website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
Yeah, and go to, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's Rhythm and Pixels, all one word. Most of the discussion's happening on Facebook, actually. So there's a group called Rhythm and Pixels Chat. There's a lot of the listeners hang out there, share music with each other, and we chat about games and things, and we're usually there too.
Whole lot of gabba gabba hey.
Yeah, and there's a Discord server that's linked on our website. You can click that and just join right in. And there's a lot of nice people there too. There's just 2 channels. It's just talking about the podcast and not talking about the podcast, and
that's all we need.
That's all. Yeah, but you'll see some other characters from other shows and from other YouTube places that are related to video game music. It's all very cool. So definitely check that out on YouTube.com/RhythmandPixels. We have an 8-bit and 16-bit radio station playing nothing but classics and deep cuts. So please check that out. It's been off and on online. We actually had an electrical problem this past weekend, and
weather's been crazy lately.
Yeah, but there was actually something different. It was in the house, and the breaker got switched off, and
it came from inside the house.
We had to keep it off, and the electrician came this morning and discovered that it was actually causing sparks against some of the beams in the basement of the house.
That could be dangerous.
Yes, so they put junction boxes where they fixed it, thank God. But that made me really worried. So where was I going with this? Anyway, the radio station, it's on, and it's really cool. So check that out. I try to keep that on. And, it's going to be offline again. The radio station will be offline from the 20th to maybe even the 24th because my house is getting some renovations done. And that means my router is going to get moved. So just a heads up on that one.
Dun, dun, dun.
And to Purnell as well. We might have to do something different next week.
Oh, yeah. It overlaps the show.
It overlaps our record schedule, which is a little all over the place anyway. If you'd like to support the show, it just always helps if you tell people about it, or if you rate and review it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you are. That'll help other people find the show. So that's all that really matters, is that, if you like it, tell more people about it. You can also
clap your hands.
And touch your toes. Stomp your feet.
Stomp your feet. Spin left to right.
Or you can go to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. If you support us there, you get access to prequel episodes every week. You get access to a live streamed recorded episode once a month. And at certain tiers of the support, you also get shout outs at the end of every episode. You get special Discord server privileges per colors. And you also can get shout outs on the radio station on rotation. So anyway, we like to thank people at the end of the show. We like to thank That Nick Walker, The Last Rican, Mike Myers, Sonic Medley, Taco, Harold Howard, Dave Taylor, Reinhard Selkova, Andreas Mirlberg, Dan Loughton, Phantom Jest, Steve Miller, The Autistic Gamer 89, Cameron Worma, Christopher Senstrom, Bobby Arson from One Up Funk, Wicked Sephiroth, Carlos from the Heroes 3 podcast, Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version podcast, and Brian Pitt. So thank you all very much for your continued support of our show, and it does mean a lot to us.
Thanks for being awesome people.
So yeah, the live stream episode is so much fun every month. This last one was hilarious. I listened back on it because it was so funny. We had a really good time. So anyway, thanks for listening to the show. Brian, got anything else?
I got nothing. I want to get some soup in my body.
Yeah,
because I'm a hungry and thirsty gent.
I think we're making our listeners hungry for some soup.
Honestly, if that's what's happening, then I think that's a job well done. People like to claim that you can't eat soup during the summer. I claim those people are wrong.
No, I had soup last week.
Yeah,
it was good.
It's always good. Don't get me wrong. Winter is best for soup.
Yeah.
But soup is always appropriate.
Now, a stew might be a step too far.
I mean, in normal circumstances, yeah, but you figure people were eating like full loaded pieces in mess. If you can eat a loaded piece, you can eat a stew.
You know what? That's science.
That's right.
But thanks for listening. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Purnell.
Have a safe week. We'll see you next time.
And remember, creation is... I love how I couldn't even think of a good matching thing, but basically, creation stews creativity. And to create is to provide purpose. Build, construct, anything. Even if it's whether something physical, like a shelf, and if you're not really good at buying wood from an IKEA or a Home Depot, you can go an IKEA and get a general shelf or something. Just to go through the motions of following instructions and putting a piece together. It's a nice, relaxing, and rewarding feeling to construct something and build it. Or you can cook things, get a good recipe off the internet, slap some food together. Don't use a hammer if you do that, though, because that can get real messy. Unless it's a meat tenderizing hammer, in which case, knock yourself out. But basically, creation is great. Continue, always find time to create things because it awakens something in you that honestly feels rewarding and relaxing when you've completed it. It's such a good thing to do.